doesn't need that story. I never saw my father hold my mother's hand, they say. I never saw my father tell my mother he loves her all my life. I never seen them embrace close and hug and kissing and snuggle up. I never seen that. And so it must be abnormal for a man to be that warm to a woman, because all my life I never saw it. So they grow up believing that to touch a woman is to be less than a man. Then there are those fathers who never correct their children and let their children do what they feel like. And the children grow up believing that's the way he's supposed to handle their own children. You just let them do what they want to do and what they feel like, and so they themselves are not good correction agencies for their own children. Then there are those fathers who abuse their privileges as fathers. They misuse the children. There are fathers who beat their children senseless. They are brutal towards the children. Instead of correcting, they punish, and children grow up believing that's the way you handle children. They say, my father treated us like dogs, so I guess I'm a father. I'm going to treat my children like dogs as well. Then there are those fathers who never come home. They get married but live somewhere else. The young men in the home grow up believing that living somewhere else is normal. And so when I get married, they begin to tell their wives, well, you know what's going to happen? It's normal to sleep somewhere else. Well, why you think that way? Hey, that's the way my daddy did it. Wasn't anything. My mom would never complain. She sat and suffered. So it must be normal. And the way my mama suffered, so you suffer as well. And that's the way men grow up, because of the transfer of the kind of influence in their lives. Then there are fathers who have no kind of spiritual life at all. They believe that to be a Christian is to be a sissy. So fathers say, I don't go to church. Church is for girls. And the little boys hear that, and they grow up believing that to go to church is to be a sissy. And when they get their families, they drop their families to church because they don't want to be a sissy. This stuff is transferred. Fathers, what are you doing? I say this to you. Everything that a parent does, you are creating the identity that your children is going to follow. If there isn't an intervention by God. Now I want to tell you the story of when I grew up. When I grew up, I used to be at my grandmother's house most of the time. So on Sundays, she told my mother to make sure I had clothes for church on Sundays. So I went to church most of the time with my grandmother. Now my grandfather was there, but he sat in the kitchen near the door most of the time. He never went to church or anything like that. So I never had that father figure or anything in my life to where, to tell me this is what I'm supposed to do. I never had that. And another thing, I'm going to say this here. I'm going through this. I have this message for, it's going to hit the fathers, but I'm going to tell y'all, I'm all up in here. It's a lot of me in here, and I didn't have the perfect example of a father in some areas in my life as well. So I want y'all to say, I'm not beating y'all over the head, but listen, and we can all learn from this. Okay? So the duties of a father is a long list. And the first duty I like to say is that the best thing a man can do for his children is love their mother. A lot of men give gifts, buy cars, buy bicycles, and more gifts, but all the children want is to see their daddy love mom. I think there's nothing more precious than a child to see his father and mother hold hands, kiss, sit on the couch, and hug. Even though they think it's disgusting or gross, they may say, make funny noises, they don't like that. I think kids get a sense of security feeling when they see that. I think one of the weakest thing about a man is a jellyback man with no guts. I think we have a lot of males with very few men. Listen here. We have a lot of sperm generators, but no fathers. Excuse my expression. All they can do is have them, but they can't bring them up. You know, a man gets the concept that if he could have a child, he's a man. And it doesn't take a man to have a child. It only takes a male, because any male dog and female dog can have a male.